Hey everybody, hope you're all doing good and hope you're all safe. A very good evening to all of you and welcome to Oliveboard's Marathon Revision Series for SEBI Grade A, Phase 1 and Paper 2 of the examination. So we have already completed our Part 1 of the lecture series and today will be the Part 2. So as we have continued yesterday with 3 sections each, both of us here will be taking three sections. So I will be continuing with Management, Companies Act, and Finance section. And Divya ma'am will also keep continuing with economics, costing, and accountancy. So, shall we begin, guys? Is everything good? Is all fine? I'll quickly share my screen. Yes, great. So let's begin the class today. So it is part 2, as I told, it's going to be part 2. And again, this is going to be for 3 hours. So the first 1.5 hour, like yesterday, will be taken by me, and the rest 1.5 hour will be taken by the other faculty at Oliveboard. So in this 1.5 hour, my objective will be to take 10 questions each in all the 3 sections. That is 10 questions in the management series, 10 questions in the finance, and 10 questions in companies. Right? Let's get started. Yes. So let's start on a positive note and take the questions with full spirit. Yes. So the first question is this, guys. Which of the following appraisal focus on the employee's performance rather than the past one? So what is the answer for this question? Which appraisal focuses on the employee's future performance rather than the past one? So what is the answer for this question? Psychological, potential, 360 degrees, behaviorally anchored rating scale, and none of the above. Yes. So great. So the answer is A, psychological appraisal, and a lot of you gave it correctly. Fantastic. So let's take some time before answering question, but I want most of you to get most of the questions correctly. So the answer here is psychological appraisal. So what is this question mainly talking about? It is talking about the performance appraisal mechanism as such. So as we know with the name itself, performance appraisal means we are trying to measure the performance of the employees, and performance appraisal is a part of the performance management system as a whole. There are some differences between what is a performance appraisal and performance management. If you look at performance management, it is a broader term, whereas performance appraisal is a narrower term. It is a top-down approach, whereas performance management is a collaborative approach between the managers and the employees, right? So there are different types of performance appraisals. Some of them are traditional approaches and some of them are modern approaches of performance appraisal. So here we have all the options talking about the modern approaches of the performance appraisal, and psychological appraisal is talking about the employee's future performance rather than the past one, right? So which appraisal talks about the employee's future performance rather than the past one? Yes, it is the, guys, this is the potential appraisal, right? Sorry, from the very beginning question, I think you have to be very careful. So the answer here is B. It is potential appraisal, not psychological appraisal. So potential appraisal talks about the employee's future performance rather than the past one, whereas psychological appraisal, by the name itself, as you see, it's going to measure the employee's emotional, intellectual capacities, whether they are prepared for the future work or not, right? That is what psychological appraisal is going to do. Potential appraisal, it is talking about the employee's future performance, whether an employee is suitable for the future or not, rather than just measuring whether they are suitable today, right? So this is an effective also career progression technique. Next, we have got the 360 degrees appraisal, and by the name itself, it sees that the appraisal is going to be done in the 360-degree way, where individual is going to be evaluated from their peers, from their supervisors, from various departments, right? So it is going to be a 360 degrees from the supervisor's subordinates, from his peers. So it is going to be considered as a 360 degrees appraisal. And then we have got this behaviorally anchored rating scale. As you see, it is going to rate the performance of the employees based on some critical incidents. And based on this critical incidents, it talks about the behavioral parameters that the employees must exhibit during such kind of critical incidents. So what does behavioral anchored rating scale does? So it is going to take critical incidents into account, and then it is going to find out based on the critical incidents, it is going to come out with the behavioral parameters for the employees, and that's how it is going to rate the performance of the employees, right? So next question, which of the following is not considered as a deficiency needs according to the Maslow's theory? A, esteem needs; B, self-actualization needs; C, social needs; D, A and B, E, all of the above. What is the answer, guys? Just quickly give me some plug in my device. And in the meanwhile, if you can answer the question. So what is the answer for this question? Yes, which of the following is not considered as the deficiency needs? Yes, it is B. Self-actualization needs are not considered as the deficiency needs. So Maslow's needs hierarchy theory, according to which Maslow classifies needs into 5 types, starting from the psychological needs. Then he talks about the safety needs. Then he talks about the social needs. Then he talks about the esteem and the self-actualization. So among these 5 needs, there are 4 lower order needs which will be classified into the deficiency need, whereas self-actualization is considered as the growth need. The other 4 lower order needs are considered as the deficiency needs, right? And Maslow's needs hierarchy theory falls into which category of motivation theory, right? Esteem also falls under the category of deficiency. If you see, the bottom 4 will be considered as deficiency needs, and the top 1 will be considered as the growth needs, right? So what is the answer? So sorry. So Maslow's need hierarchy theory is considered as which type of motivation, whether content motivation or process motivation. So mainly, if you look at the motivation theories, there are 2 types of motivation theories. One is the content theory, and then we have got the process motivation theory. If you look at the Maslow's needs hierarchy, it falls under the category of content theories. So it talks about what is going to motivate the employees in the organization. That is what the content theories speak about. Whereas if you look at the process theories, it talks about, it is not talking about the what, but it talks about how to motivate employees. So if theory is answering how to motivate employees, that is going to be considering the process of motivation, and that is falling under the category of process theory. Whereas if it is finding out what is going to actually motivate an employee, that is going to be categorized as a content theories, right? Next question, which of the following theory believes that if a higher level need aggravates, an individual may revert to increase the satisfaction of a lower order need? So which theory believes that a higher level need, when it is not met, individual may come back to the lower order need? So which theory speaks in this tone? Yes. Good job, guys. Yes, it is D. It is talking about, so this philosophy or ideology is held by the ERG theory, where ERG stands for existence needs, R stands for relatedness needs, and G stands for growth needs. So which is the thinker which is associated with the ERG theory? Who is that individual who gave the ERG theory for us? Yes, it is Alder Ferrer, right? So Alder Ferrer is the thinker who has given us the ERG theory. So it is very similar to the Maslow's theory, and it is classifying all the needs that Maslow says into 3 big categories. One is existence, under which you can take the psychological needs or the physiological needs, and the safety needs falling into place. And then we have the related needs. Here, related needs, he categorizes related needs as the social needs. Yes. And then we have got the growth needs, which includes the 2 needs, that is esteem needs and the self-actualization needs, right? So What is this concept called? When a high level need is not met, individual going back to the lower order need, is this concept is called as frustration regression concept. So whenever a individual is not able to meet his higher order need, then what happens? They obviously the individual is going to bound to have a frustration. So they come back and they regress back in the level of needs to the lower order needs to feel better, right? So that is called as frustration regression concept, which is given as a part of the ERG theory, right? Yes. So these are some of the things we have to note here with respect to this question. Yes, I'll try to write it neat, guys. I don't have a pen with me, and that is the reason we have all these issues coming up, but I'll try to give my best. Next question, according to the self-efficacy theory, motivational thinkers use which of the following technique to evaluate or improve the self-efficacy? So can we have the answers? So according to the self-efficacy theory, motivational thinkers use which of the following technique to improve the self-efficacy? Fantastic job. Yes. So a lot of the answers are right, and the answer here is C, verbal persuasion. So according to the self-efficacy theory, which was given by Albert Bandura, so AB, I'm just writing it as AB. It stands for Albert Bandura, right? So it is the person who has given the self-efficacy theory. And what is the central ideology of the self-efficacy theory? Can anyone state what does it believe? There's another name for self-efficacy theory. It is also called as social learning theory. Self-efficacy is also called as social learning theory, right? So it believes that whenever an individual belief is strong, they can achieve whatever they believe. So their belief translates into reality. That is what self-efficacy theory believes. And whenever an individual is going to have a belief that they are having that self-esteem about themselves, they do better even in challenging situations. But when they don't believe that they have got that efficiency to handle tough situations, they don't do that better. So most of the work or the productivity of an individual is going to be dependent on their belief. This is what self-efficacy theory states. And it also says there are few ways you can improve your self-efficacy or self-efficiency. So one of them is verbal persuasion, and this method is also used by motivational thinkers. So where you see that motivational thinkers try to persuade others and improve their efficiency, right? That is what motivational thinkers do. And verbal persuasion is also related to one other concept, which is called as Pygmalion effect, right? So verbal persuasion leads to another concept, which is called as Pygmalion effect, right? It is also called as Galatea effect. What is this Pygmalion effect or Galatea effect? It is nothing but self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you believe you can do it, you will be able to do it. For example, some of the cancer patients believe that they can come out of the disease, and their strong beliefs will make them come out of such kind of severe or life-threatening diseases too. And that is nothing but self-fulfilling prophecy. You believe one thing, that is going to come true. And this is what Pygmalion effect says. So verbal persuasion is a method which will give thrust to that Pygmalion effect, right? So these are the other two methods, like the mastery. That means you have to improve your abilities to do some work. So that is when your efficacy is going to improve. That is one method. And then it is also giving vicarious modeling. That is, you're going to model someone whom you like. So if you think there's one role model for you, you can believe that you're going to become like that role model, and naturally you will be becoming like them, right? So that is what vicarious modeling is going to talk about. So the answer for this question, where motivational thinkers use which method or technique of self-efficacy, it is verbal persuasion. Next question. To have a high motivation potential score, which of the following factors need to be high? Motivation potential score, MPS. To have a high motivation potential score, which of the following factors need to be high? A, autonomy. B, feedback. C, skill variety, D, A and B, E, B and C. So what is the answer, guys? Good job, good job. Only few of you giving the answers, but very satisfying, fantastic, right? So the answer is D, A and B. So having a high motivation potential score needs two factors to be definitely high. One is autonomy and other is feedback, right? So motivation potential score is one of the um, concept that was introduced through the job characteristics model. Who is the person who has introduced this job characteristics model? Can I have the answers quickly in the chat box? Yes, Oldham. Fantastic. Richard Hackman and Oldham were the personalities who were introducing this job characteristics model. And as a part of this, they talk about 5 important characteristics of job. So how many characteristics that a job should have that this model talks about? It talks about 5 characteristics of a job. So in calculating MPS, what that is motivational potential score, the job characteristics method says that there needs to be two factors to be very high. One is feedback, so F standing for feedback and A standing for autonomy, right? Both of them should be high to have a high MPS. But there are 3 other characteristics that the approach talks about. One is skill of the job, right? Then apart from that, it talks about the, can you all give me, yes, task identity and task significance, right? So these are the 3 other characteristics that the job characteristics model talk about. So here any of the 3 can be high. That is, the first one, skill of the job can be high, or task identity can be high, or task significance. Any of these 3 can be high, but feedback and autonomy must be high to have a high MPS, right? Next question. Management by exception is a characteristic of which of the following leader? A, transformational leader, B, charismatic leader, C, transactional leader, and D, servant leaders. So which category of leaders will have this method? And that is management by exception or management of exception. Yes, yes. Some of the answers already coming up. Good. The answer is C. Transactional leader is the answer for this. So what is management by exception? That is, in this situations, leaders generally do not intervene. Okay. So this is a kind of leadership where you see that the leaders generally do not intervene. They try to maintain some kind of status quo, but they only interfere when there is a deviation among the employees. That's when they interfere. That is called as management by exception, right? When there are exceptionary situations, that's when these kind of leaders intervene. And these type of leaders are called as transactional leaders. So you know what is meant by transactional leadership? That is, it is going to be based on transaction. I do this for you, you do this for me. That is a transaction, isn't it? So it is coming with an expectation. When a leader is doing something for their subordinates, he is expecting something from the subordinates too. So that is a transactional way of leadership. But who is a transformational leader? So a leader without any expectation from his subordinates for him or her, but doing selflessly to transform the behavior or the performance, or do something beyond productivity for their subordinates. So such kind of leaders will be categorized as the transformational leaders. So here there are different types of leadership theories, right? So it is categorized into 3 to 4 types, right? One is we have got the trait theory of leadership. So what are all going to fall under this trait theory of leadership? Which kind of theories fall under the trait leadership theory? And what does trait leadership theory mean? So what is trait leadership theory, guys? It believes that leaders are made, right? They are not, sorry, leaders are born. They are not made. That is what trait theory believes in. So here, leaders are born with some traits. It is what trait theory believes. And under this, we have got great man theory, or there is again Aliport's trait theory. Yes, great guys. Yes. So where leaders are born. Then the second category of theories are the behavioral theories. So what are they going to believe? This behavioral theories, they believe that leaders are not actually born, they are made, right? There are certain behaviors or characteristics that a leader develops over time, right? It is not that they are born with such kind of traits. That is what behavioral leadership believes in, theories believe in. So which kind of theories will fall under behavior leadership? Any examples of theories that is going to fall under the behavioral leadership? So role theory or managerial grid theory. Blake Morton's managerial grid theory, right? Blake Morton managerial grid also falls under this category of behavioral theory. And then we have the third categories of leadership, which is called as the functional leadership. So functional leadership theories, what do they do? What are the basis of functional leadership? It believes that there are some successful leaders and we are going to study those successful leaders. So by studying those successful leaders, they understand what should be a function of a leader to be successful, right? So that is the functional approach, understanding what should be the functions that, yes, that they need to be carrying. So that situational is going to be under the contingency leadership, right? Situational leadership is going to fall under the contingency or situational leadership. So here functional leadership is talking about what kind of functions, right, a leader should be associated with to become successful. For example, there is one leadership theory which is called as action-centered leadership theory. Okay, that is given by Adams, and that falls under the functional leadership. Then we have got the contingency theory. So contingency, as someone has pointed out, it is a situational leadership theory. John Adair's functional theory, yes. So contingency theory is a situational leadership based on the situation. Leaders emerge is what contingency theory believes in. There are a lot of such contingency theories like the feedless contingency leadership theory. We've got the path goal theory. These are all, yes, path goal theory. All of this fall under the category of contingency theories. Apart from this, we have some other theories which are not categorized as part of all of these things, right? Under this concept, we can have this transactional and transformational leaders. Very, very important. As you see, management by exception rightly falls under the category of a transactional leader. And who is the person who spoke about transformation leadership in depth? Which person? So Jatin, one doubt, level of questions इतना easy ही रहेगा exam में. See, the entire objective of this revision series is to improve your confidence and to help you revise all the topics, right? So there's no point in giving us tough questions so that you are not able to answer them and feel bad. So that is not the intention. At the end of the revision series, you should feel confident about whatever you've prepared. That is one of the important mottos of this series. And two is that it should help you revise better, right? And one of the questions that you are asking is whether it is going to be easy or not. We expect that since this is a year where a lot of changes, the first time changes have been introduced by SEBI examination. So you can expect most of the questions to be at the basic level, right? Though it might vary a little bit here and there, but it will remain same. Yes, so it was Bass. Absolutely correct, Bharat. It is Bernard Bass who has spoken in depth about transformational leader, right? Next question, control is the process through which the managers assure that the actual activities conform to the planned activities, right? So the question is, what is control? Whenever it tries to control the deviation from what is planned to what is happening in the actual scenario, right? So that is called as control. So which of the following is not a modern technique of control? A, break-even analysis, B, zero-based budgeting, C, PERT, D, CPM, and E, none of the above. So what is the answer? Which is not a modern technique, guys? Which is not a modern technique of control? Break-even analysis is not a modern technique of control. Let me tell you, this is a conventional method of control. But all the zero-based budgeting, PERT, CPM, all of them are new control techniques. And one of the most important control techniques here that we need to know is zero-based budgeting. So this is a relatively new concept that has been introduced even in India, but that is not used or implemented extensively. So what is zero-based budgeting? When was it developed? It was developed in the year 1971 by United States. Yes. So after which you see that what is zero-based meaning here? It is nothing but in zero-based budgeting, you will see that the budget allocation for every item has to be explained, and it should be the allocation will be starting from the scratch, from zero. So when you give explanation, that's when the allocation is going to increase. So it is not going to be based on the past allocation or to various items. It is not going to continue whatever past allocations have been. Rather, it is going to start from zero, and whatever is going to be explained, that is when it is going to uh, give budget to that item. That is called as zero-based budgeting, and these are all modern ways of control techniques there. So what is PERT going to stand for? Program evaluation and yes, program evaluation and ranking technique. Then we have got critical path method. All of these are newer control techniques. Yes, in zero-based budgeting, we assume that the base is going to be zero. Next question, if a new insurance company wants to launch insurance offers like home loan, educational loans, vehicle loans, which are the following departmentation suits? A, functional, B, matrix, C, customer, D, product, and geography. Right? So which kind of departmentation will suit when we want to launch, when an insurance company probably wants to launch offers like this? Some of you are saying matrix. Yes, it is, guys, C, customer. So it is customer departmentation technique, right? So this is a kind of organizational technique where departmentation is also a kind of organizational technique, right? Here, what is departmentation in the first place? Where you're clustering various functions together. It's basically clustering, horizontal clustering of various functions is going to be called as departmentation. And there are various ways in which you can actually cluster things together for an organization to run effectively. So here, when a company wants to launch insurance offers like home loans, so these are different customer bases that it is going to target. A home segment. Guys, once again, there is a problem with my laptop here. Let me So sorry for the inconvenience, guys. Let's quickly continue with our questions. So this is called as customer-based departmentation, where you see for home customers, you're going to offer a new product. For educational customers, you're going to offer a new product. For vehicle loans, you are offering to a different kind of customers. So what is product categorization then, right? Yes. What is product categorization then? For example, you can take food products as a separate category, home care as a separate category, and then probably you can have healthcare as a separate category. So that is there how you go for product-based differentiation. So here we are going based on the customers, right? So that is why it is called as customer departmentation. So then we have already talked about the product departmentation, and what is functional departmentation? It is nothing but when you have, is everything fine, guys? Is all good? Yes. Hope everything is fine, right? Yes. So with respect to functional departmentation, it will be grouped into different functions, like the personal function, the marketing function, the mm, product function, the finance function. That is how it is going to be characterized as, right? So this is called as functional departmentation. And what is matrix departmentation? Where you will see that the departmentation will be following a grid approach. That is called as matrix. So here you will see that every employee will have two managers. One is the product manager. He or she will be reporting to the product manager, and also two, they'll also be reporting to the functional manager. So functional manager meaning they are generalistic manager. The product manager is a technical manager. So when individual and employee, every individual and employee is reporting to two line of managers, that is the product manager and the functional manager, it is going to fall under the matrix kind of organization, different from the traditional hierarchical model, right? Next question, which of the following is called as a functional or process approach of management? A, scientific management. B, administrative theory of management. C, bureaucratic management. D, B and C, and E, none of the above. So what is the answer? Which of the following is called as functional or process approach of management? So there are various theories, right? We spoke about classical yesterday, neoclassical, and modern. So here we have all the classical theories. So which of these are called as the functional or process approach? So think twice, guys, before you give answer, because it's a very simple question. So it is administrative theory of management, right? So which is given by Henry Fayol. Administrative theory of management given by Henry Fayol is called as functional or process approach of management. Unlike Taylor, who focused on only efficiency of production, here you can see that Fayol talks about the organizational structure, isn't it? He talks about the organizational structure. Along with it, he also talks about the basic process of the management. So that is the reason it is called as a functional or a process approach of management. And it is administrative theory of management. So it is Henry Fayol who has given 14 principles of management. So there are so many important principles that Henry Fayol has given. So try to remember all the 14 principles, guys. It can be asked. So can we have quick revision with respect to the 14 principles? What is the thing that we can use for revising all the 14 principles? You can use dad, U square, yes. So you can think as dad has gone to US. Okay. And then I just had a, yes, and he has got his RC, right? Dad has gone to US and has got his RC very easily. E square, S, IS, ISIS. I'm just saying it as ISIS. Okay. So you can remember this as all the principles of management through this. So D standing for division of labor, A standing for authority, again D standing for discipline. So first you can remember as dad has gone to US to get his RC, and unlike India, it is going to be easy in US, isn't it, to get an RC? So I'm just remembering getting RC easy as through this ESIS. Just consider that it is easy. ESIS. Okay. So dad is D standing for division of labor, A standing for authority, again D standing for discipline. So 2U standing for unity of command and unity of direction. Then we have S, that is talking about the subordination of individual interest to the group interest. And then we have got R. Okay, that is talking about the remuneration. Then C standing for centralization. Then we have two E's here. One E talking about, I think there is one more. Okay, you can just remember it as ROC, because I just forgot one more thing, that is order. So dad getting ROC. So dad going to US and getting ROC through this in easy way, right? E standing for equity and E spirit the crops, and again S standing for stability, and I standing for initiative, right? So these are the 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, right? So these are the 14 principles of management that was given by Henry Fayol, right? Last question on management: into how many types the leadership styles are categorized according to Rensis Likert? Very simple question. Into how many types does Rensis Likert? Yes, it's simplification. Yes, it is 4. Very simple. So in exploitative, he talks about 2 types of exploits. In terms of autocratic leadership, he talks about 2 types of autocratic leadership. One is exploitative autocratic leadership. Another, he talks about benevolent autocratic leadership. So 2 leadership styles are over. Then he talks about consultative leadership style. Then he talks about participative leadership style. So these are the 4 types of leadership that Rensis Likert puts into, and he also gives one of the important concepts called as linking pin concept, where you will see that every employee will be a part. So every employee will be part of the supervisor's chain, and every employee will also be part of the subordinate chain. So that is, every employee is going to act as a linking pin between his supervisor and subordinate, right? So that is what he says by linking pin. Understanding the relationship between various levels, vertical hierarchy. So we are done with the 10 questions, guys. Hope it was quick enough and we are clear about it. So now I just saw one of the persons asking, what if we do not clear prelims, right? So let's not at all have that idea in mind, guys. There are 2 approaches. One, you be completely positive. Right now, you've got only 1 week ahead. So think positive and believe in your efforts, right? So if anything is going to go negative, you can plan. You have your mind that this is going to be beneficial. This preparation is going to be beneficial for you for any other examination, be it any other examination that you're giving this year. It is going to be very, very beneficial. So think in positive lines, and for now, focus only on clearing the examination, right? That is, yes, Pygmalion effect. Absolutely. What you believe, you become. And that is going to come to you. So only think positive. And when results are going to turn negative, already have your mind that, yes, it is going to be beneficial for the other exams too. Or else you're going to give it for other years. So this is going to be a stepping stone for that, right? So anyhow, you don't have to talk about it now. So wait till the exam, stay positive and give your best. So shall we start the finance questions quickly, guys? Yes? Yes, improving the self-efficacy. So we have a lot of motivational thinkers in our class too here. That's really good. So that is all is needed, right? So are we good to begin the finance questions? I hope we don't need a break. Already we've got a break, isn't it? Yes. So the first question is this: vote on account is a special provision by which the government obtains a parliament approval for funds sufficient to incur the expenditure for a part of the year. The sum under the vote on account is equal to how much of the total expenditure for that year. So what is the answer, guys? One third, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6. So what is vote on account? As it says, it is a special provision by which government is going to obtain permission from the parliament so that they can use some expenditure, because budget is generally passed late. That is why vote on account is mostly used, right? Yes, it is 1/6. The answer is 1/6. Vote on account is generally used for 2 months before, for a period of 2 months. And what is vote on account? As you see, because budget is generally passed before 2016, it was passed in the end of the February, isn't it? So there was a time gap where the budget for the last year would have ended and the government was in need for funds. In such kind of scenarios, there is a need for money, and government it uses this concept called as vote on account to regularize the use of money. So even before the budget is passed, they want some money, and that is the reason they get the approval from the parliament to incur some expenditure, and this is going to be 1/6 of the total expenditure, the budgetary expenditure that was going to be coming in for the next year. So because the budget is going to be for a period of 12 months, since the vote on account is going to be there for 2 months, it is going to account for 1/6 of the given total expenditure, right? So the answer is 1/6. Next question, the part of the fiscal deficit that can be covered by borrowing from RBI is reflected in which of the following deficits? So which of the following deficits is going to include that part that also going to have the borrowing from RBI, primary deficit, revenue deficit? Yes, it is demonetized deficit, right? So these are different types of deficit, and as you see, monetized deficit is nothing but the monetary supports that RBI is going to give to government to meet its deficit requirements, to government to meet its expenditure requirements, right? That is called as monetized deficit. So what happens generally in this monetized deficit is government is going to issue its bonds. So RBI is going to purchase the bonds of governments and it's going to finance the government for meeting their deficit, and this is called as monetized deficit, right? So the other deficits are primary deficit. What is primary deficit? When we are subtracting the interest payments from the fiscal deficit, it is called as primary deficit. And then we have got revenue deficit. That means revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts is going to give us revenue deficit. And what is effective revenue deficit? So that part of the revenue deficit, revenue expenditure, which is used for creation of capital assets, that is going to be subtracted from the revenue deficit so that it is going to give a correct picture of the revenue deficit, right? Because some part of the revenue sometimes goes for creation of assets, and that is going to be subtracted, and that is going to be giving us an effective revenue deficit, right? Next question, which of the following statements is going to facilitate a closer integration between FRBM, that is fiscal responsibility and budget management, and budget? So FRBM Act and budget, so which is going to facilitate that closer integration? A, fiscal policy strategy statement. B, macroeconomic framework policy statement. C, medium-term expenditure framework. D, A and B, and E, B and C. What is the answer? Yes, it is C. Medium-term expenditure framework is also one of the statements that is going to be laid as a part of the FRBM statement. So all of these three statements have been introduced as a part of FRBM Act. So they will be laid before the Parliament for approval, right? And this was introduced as a part of the FRBM Act. So medium-term expenditure, as you see, so this is talking about the expenditure requirements of the government for medium term, that is 3 years period. It gives a rolling target of 3 years, and for this period, it is going to talk about the expenditure requirements of the government, be it capital expenditure, be it revenue expenditure. Both of them are going to be accounted, right, in the medium term expenditure framework. So this is a document that is going to bring together FRBM and budget. Whereas if you look at the fiscal policy strategy statement, it is only going to talk about the fiscal parameters of the government of India. So it is talking about taxation. What is fiscal? That means the government responsibility. Entirely it is going to talk about the taxation. It talks about the expenditure. It talks about lending and investments, right? Whereas if you look at the macroeconomic framework policy, it is going to talk about the economy in total. So it talks about the GDP growth rate of the economy. It talks about the fiscal balance. It talks about the external sector performance. All of this is going to be part of the macroeconomic framework policy statement. But if you look at the medium-term expenditure framework, it is going to give about the expenditure requirement for the 3 years. And here this was introduced in which year? You have to know that it was introduced in the year 2013. So medium-term expenditure framework was introduced in the year 2013. Next question, after the 15th Finance Commission, which of the following new criteria for devolution of funds to the states has been evolved? A, population. B, income distance, C, area, D, demographic performance, and E, none of the above. So which, after the 15th Finance Commission, which criteria has been included, guys? New criteria. Yes, it is demographic performance. Fantastic job. So it is demographic performance. Along with this, there is another new parameter, that is tax effort, which was introduced. Along with demographic performance, we have got tax effort and also forest and ecology. Earlier, there was something called as forest cover. So no more forest cover is going to be considered as a criteria in 15th Finance Commission recommendations. So it is going to have forest and ecology, tax effort, demographic performance. So these three are going to be the new parameters. Along with that, we have the income distance, area, population based on 2011 census. Census 2011. This is going to be captured. So these are all going to act as a criteria. So for Finance Commission is covered under which of the following which articles, guys? So Article 280 of the Constitution of India talks about Finance Commission, isn't it? And what is the purpose or the function of the Finance Commission? It is going to look after the devolution of funds to various states. So it is going to give funds. It is going to talk about vertical devolution. So it is going to devolve the funds between center and the states. And at the same time, it is also going to talk about horizontal devolution of states. That is how much should be given to each state. So that is also going to consider horizontal devolution, vertical devolution between center and the states. So this is the, yes. So this is what is the job of the Finance Commission. And the current 15th Finance Commission, it is chaired by which of the following persons, guys? Which person chairs the 15th Finance Commission? Mr. N.K. Singh. And the recommendation of the Finance Commission is going to be valid for the period of 5 years, 2020 to 2025. So this recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission is going to be valid till 2025. Next question, for a valid meeting of GST Council, what is the total number of persons that should be present at the meeting? So we are asking about the quorum that is required for the GST Council. Yes, what is the quorum, guys? Quorum. We are asking about the quorum of the GST Council. Yes, fantastic job. It is 8. Please do not get confused. It is half of the total members are going to constitute the quorum of the GST Council. And once the quorum is met, once a meeting is going to be conducted, so for a decision to be passed, at least 3/4 of the voting has to be done, right? And that is what is going to be important here. So 3/4 of the members, 3/4 of the quorum will have to, not 3/4 of the existing members will have to vote for a particular topic, and that's when it will be passed. But half will be considered as the quorum, right? For example, let's take the GST Council has got 100 members. In total, it has got 100 members. For a meeting to be conducted in the first place, there should be at least 50 members joining the meeting. Half of the strength should come. Only then a meeting will be conducted, right? So in this 50 members, at least 3/4 of the votes should be voted in favor of the subject of the discussion. If that is happening, then it is going to be considered as a decision that is valid, right? And even in this 3/4 of the total votes, you will see that 1/3 is given for the center and 2/3 is going for the states, right? Next question, which of the following organization publishes the price or the yield of the government securities in India? So which body does publish the prices or the yield of government securities in India? Very important, financial market benchmarking. So Neelambar Roy, we will get the PDF. This PDF will make it available very quickly tomorrow or day after in the Telegram group itself, right? Yes, it is Financial Benchmark India Private Limited. Earlier, it was these two organizations, Fixed Income Money Markets and Derivatives Association of India and then Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India. These were the bodies that were determining the benchmark indices in India before, right? But there was a London Interbank Exchange Rate issue that happened in around 2000s, and after which there was a committee that was constituted in India to make reforms with respect to the benchmark indexing. And that's when RBI has given the responsibility to a new body that was created by RBI. And RBI created this new body, which is called as Financial Benchmark India Private Limited, to look exclusively into benchmarking the indices, right? Abhi Bishwas, you will be getting the PDF from the Telegram group, right? Don't have to worry about it. So what are the other indices that it is going to take into account? Government securities like Mumbai Interbank exchange rate will be there, treasury bill rates will be there, state development loans will be there, government securities will be there. All of this will be determined by CIBIL. This is very, very important, right? Next question is SEBI Act, which assists the banks and the financial institutions and auction properties of the default customers in an easy and efficient manner, came into existence in which of the following years? So there were a lot of changes with respect to the SEBI Act. So in which year was the SEBI Act established? A simple question. Sometimes in prelims, you will expect very simple questions in the 1 markers, right? It is, yes, C. 2002 was the year in which SEBI Act came into existence. And as most of you told it correctly, yes. So what is SEBI Act? It is going to help the banks and the financial institutions to recover, auction their properties in case they are going to default, right? So that is what SEBI Act has been proposed for creation, but it was not that successful, right? In the recent times, we have seen that NBFCs has also now have greater utility in using the SEBI Act, because in budget we have seen that the criteria for NBFCs to opt for SEBI Act has actually been changed. It has been minimized. The limit for the criteria has been liberalized, and that is the reason we will see that the NBFCs can now access to the SEBI Act comfortably. Earlier, the asset size was kept at 500 crores for the NBFCs. Now it is brought down to 100 crores, right? Next question, perpetual bonds face which of the following types of risk? Yesterday also in yesterday's class, we've been speaking about perpetual bonds. So these are bonds with no maturity date, right? So what kind of risks does perpetual bonds face? A, default risk, B, inflation risk, C, repayment date risk, D, A and C, E, all of the above. So which kind of risks that perpetual bonds face? Yes, simple. So they have a default risk, they have an inflation risk, they have a repayment risk. What is default risk? Unlike those instruments which will get some kind of support. If you take FDs, they have some kind of support from Deposit Insurance Credit Guarantee Corporation. But there is no such kind of insurance from DICGC for perpetual bonds. So there's a default risk that the perpetual bonds face. And then there is an inflation risk because it is not inflation indexed. Obviously, the returns are going to be facing the risk of the movements of the inflation. And apart from this, there is also going to be a repayment date risk. We've already discussed this because perpetual bonds, in theory, we know that these are bonds without any maturity date or without any maturity date, but they are marketed saying that they will be, the principal will be returned in 5 to 10 years or any large span. But it is, lot of the retail investors do not understand that it is not mandatory for those banks to actually repay the principal with respect to the perpetual bonds. And these have the highest risk with respect to the cases of being written off. Whenever the banks are not doing well, financial institutions are not doing well in terms of their own credit, these are the instruments that are going to be written off to. So there's a repayment date risk too, right? Next question, the index of industrial production is an indicator that measures the changes in the volume of the production of industrial products during a given period. The base for calculation of IIP or index of industrial production is dash. So what is the current base of index of industrial production? 2001, 2, 11, 12. Yes, simple 11 and 12, right? So which recently there was an index for which the base year has changed, and it is CPI industrial workers, for which the base year has been changed to 2016, 2017. And there are talks to also change the base year for the GDP calculation too. So it is going to happen very quickly. That was also spoken in the budget, right? Yes. Next question, when price levels are reinforced by the price level increase in the recent past, it is referred as dash. What is it called when price levels are reinforced by the price level increase in the recent past? What is it referred to as? A, inflationary gap, B, deflationary gap, C, inflationary spiral, D, deflationary spiral. What is it called? Yes. When the price level increase, price levels are reinforced by the price level increase in the recent past. Yes, it is C, inflationary spiral, right? So it is called as inflationary spiral. So what is inflationary gap? It is nothing but where you see that GDP or the output at full employment is going to be there, but the current GDP is more than what it can be at full employment. So here the GDP growth in such situations is not because of total productivity, but rather it is because of the increase in the prices, because of the inflation. So this is called as inflationary GDP, inflationary gap, where the GDP of the current time is more than what GDP can be at full employment. And that is called as inflationary gap. But if you look at what is deflationary gap, what it is, guys, deflationary gap is reverse. So what GDP in the current situation is comparatively less, right? The current GDP is comparatively less to what can be at full employment. So it means that there's still potential for the GDP to grow and the productivity to grow, right? And when that gap is being captured, that is called as deflationary gap. And what is the inflationary spiral? When inflation is going to get into a cycle, vicious cycle. So when inflation gets into a vicious cycle, that is called as inflationary spiral. For example, so the answer for this question is C, guys, inflationary spiral. You can take wage inflation as one inflation that can lead to inflationary spiral. Wage inflation, what will it lead to? It will lead to increased demand. And whenever the demand is going to increase, what will happen when the demand is going to be increased? So first, increased wage will increase the consumption. Increased consumption will increase the demand. When demand increases, the prices are also going to increase. When prices overall are improving, the employees are going to demand more wages. So it is a vicious spiral, right? It is completing it. So it is going to increase it. So this is called as, yes, inflationary spiral. And the answer for the question is C, guys. Please mark it correctly. It is C, inflationary spiral. When the price levels are reinforced by the price level increase in the recent past, that is called as the inflationary spiral. So we are done with the finance section too, right? So what, if you have any doubts other than these questions, something relevant from general perspective, you can ask now, and let's take quick 2 to 3 minutes gap. Yes, Haritma, what were you asking about? Please, ma'am, reply. I couldn't see that. Can you just ask the question again? Yes, sure, Ayush. We'll check the first question of the management question. Yes, Haritma ma'am, PDF of your revision sessions. We have been giving the already the finance revision series PDF is given, the management series is given, and also the budget series will be given for you. I think the Companies Act series also is given. right? Telegram ID, you can just go to Oliveboard official. Type Oliveboard official in the Telegram group, and you'll be able to join the Oliveboard Telegram ID, and that's where you'll be getting the PDFs, right, guys? Yes, Ayush, Shukija, yes, I think that should be psychological appraisal. Let me come back again, right? Yes, we will definitely provide. So questions in finance can be found in the course. The 100 most important, yes, the 100 most important questions are found also in the course itself. Yes. We cannot be particular about what will be the weightage of the finance section. Overall, the section is going to, the paper 2 will consist of 40 questions. So the weightage might vary. We are not sure about it, right? Because SEBI has not mentioned, we have to be equally prepared for all the sections. Okay, let's take a few minutes gap here and before moving forward to the Companies Act, guys, right? One second, Haritma, let me give you the ID. It is Oliveboard Official. The group name is Oliveboard Official, and it has got around 31,000 subscribers. So you can just go to that link in the Telegram channel, and I think you'll be able to join it quickly, right? It is Oliveboard Official. The group name is that. So are we good to begin with the next questions, guys, for the Companies Act? So we've already completed 20 questions, Neelambar Roy, 10 more questions from the Companies Act. Yes? Yes. So shall we begin with the questionnaire, guys, for the next? Yes. Fantastic. So let's take the first question. Section 49 of the Companies Act states that every company shall have at least one director that has stayed in India for a total period of not less than how many days in the previous calendar year? Yes, let's proceed fast. That should be the spirit, isn't it? Because every minute of yours is very, very important, and we should try to give our best, isn't it, guys? Yes, 182 days. In fact, a simple question. So here in the section 49 of the Companies Act, it states that every company shall have at least one director that has stayed in India, that is a resident, and who is going to be considered as a resident director, one who is not stayed in India, not less than 182 days. So which is that chapter which talks about the appointment of the directors? It is chapter 11, isn't it? We've already discussed about the various chapters in the last class 2. The answer here is 182. Okay, Haritma, we'll make it available in the Telegram group if it is not available there. Since you are asking it so keenly, I'm sure we'll make it available even in the link of the session itself, right? So this link in the YouTube series, you will be able to get the link, the links for all of these PDFs in the comment section itself. Don't worry. Yes. So according to the section 151 of the Companies Act, every listed company may have got one director elected by the small shareholder. Who is considered as a small shareholder, guys? According to the Companies Act. So holding shares of nominal value of not more than 10,000, of not more than 20,000. Yes. Already answers have come up. It is B. So who is considered as small shareholder according to the Companies Act? One who is going to hold shares, which is having a nominal value of not more than 20,000 rupees. So less than or equal to 20,000, anyone who's holding shares is or she is going to be considered as the nominal small shareholders. And according to the section 151 of the Companies Act, what we have to note here that every listed company may have one director who will be elected by a small shareholder. Very, very important. So how many directors is a small shareholder going to elect? They'll be a small shareholder director themselves, and there'll be at least one such director, right? So what is the criteria for such listed company? Every listed company has to have some criteria so that small shareholders will elect such one director. So what is the criteria for listed companies that is mentioned in the Companies Act, guys? What are the criteria for the listed companies here? Whenever a listed company is having at least 1/10 of the shareholders as small shareholders. So whenever a company is having 1/10 of its shareholders as small shareholders or greater than 1,000, any of these things, right? So if they are having greater than 1,000 small shareholders or 1/10 of the small shareholders are small in nature, that is when they can have a right in electing one director. And who is going to be considered as a small shareholder? One whose nominal value is going to be greater than, not more than 20,000 rupees, right? Yes. Next question. Every individual is appointed as a director of a company shall make an application electronically in which of the following forms to the central government? So every individual who is, yes, form DIR 3. Every individual who is appointed as a director shall make an application electronically to the central government through this form DIR 3. And they'll be getting what? DIN, which is very, very important. Every director of the company should get a director identification number. DIN stands for director identification number. And to get that director identification number, an individual has to fill this form DIR 3 with the central government. And there is a online portal in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which where you can upload, where the director can upload their form DIR 3. Right, so it is a very seamless and easy process. And the central government, once it has received that form DIR 3, within 1 month of the receival of the form DIR 3, they have to be giving or approving creating this DIN, that is director identification numbers. Yes, 30 days. Within 30 days, they have to allot a director identification number, and this can be done automatically on the portal itself. So it is automatic, self-generated in the portal itself. Right, and whenever a company is going to have got different directors, a company has to give all the DINs, that is the director identification numbers, to the central government. If they are not giving the DINs of all its directors, then there is again going to be a penalty on the company itself. So if they are not going to comply with the demand from the central government that DINs must be provided, then there is a possibility that there's a penalty on the company of minimum 25,000 and maximum of 1 lakh, right? Next question. So the answer here is FIR 3, form FIR 3. For which of the following companies is the constitution of an audit committee must? So for which of the following companies constitution of a audit company becomes must? A, public companies with paid up capital of 10 crore, public companies with turnover of 100 crores. C, public companies having aggregate loans, debentures and deposits exceeding 50 crores. Yes, it is all of the above. Good job, guys. The answer is all of the above. So all the public companies with these requirements, paid up capital being 10 crore, turnover being 100 crores, and if they are having the aggregate loan, debenture and deposit exposure exceeding 50 crores, all of this are going to be eligible for constituting an audit committee. And what is the audit committee going to do? It is going to look into the recommendation for the appointment, remuneration, and the terms of appointment of the auditors in the company. It is going to look at the independence of the auditors in the company. So there are a host of functions that audit committee is going to do. And the criteria, as you have seen, is this. So it is not required that the private companies must have an audit committee. Then in such cases, what should the private committees do? So the functions of the audit committee will be performed by whom in case of private companies? There, in case of the other companies, the board of directors will appoint or nominate a director. So a nominee director will be there who will be doing the role of the audit committee. So they will be doing all the job of vigilance over the performance of the company with respect to the auditor mechanism, right? So this is what is going to be the case of the other companies other than the public companies with these criteria. Next question, which of the following is correct with respect to the composition of audit committee? So what is correct with respect to the composition of the audit committee? A should have minimum 2 directors. B, 2/3 of its composition should be independent directors. C should have minimum of 3 directors. So what is the answer, guys? Yes, absolutely correct. It is B and C. So with respect to the composition of audit committee, at least 2/3 of its composition must be independent directors, and there should be minimum 3 directors as a part of the audit committee. Both of these are important. Yes, yes. So it is 2/3 mentioned, right? 2/3 of its composition should be independent directors. So it is both D, B, and C with respect to the audit committee. Next question, which of the following is correct with respect to nomination and remuneration committee? A, not less than half the members are independent directors, not less than 2/3 of the members are independent directors. So what is the answer with respect to the nomination and the remuneration committee? Not greater than half of the members are independent directors. Not so one option C, take it as not less than half, right? Not greater than, yes, it is fine. So what is the answer for this question, guys? Yes, it is A. Not less than half of the members are independent directors in the nomination and the remuneration committee, right? So this is going to be, what is the purpose of the nomination and the remuneration committee? It is mainly going to look into the election of the members of the board of the directors, right? So that is the responsibility of the nomination and the remuneration, and it is also going to look after the remuneration and the responsibility of the members of the board. So here you have to remember that there should be again at least 3 directors, and 1/2 of them also should be independent directors. So 3 directors should be there, and 1/2 of them should be independent directors in nomination and remuneration committee. Next question, which of the following person can become a president of National Company Law Tribunal? So what is the criteria for becoming the president of National Company Law Tribunal? A, who was a judge of the High Court for 5 years. B, who was a Chief Justice of High Court for 5 years. C, who was a judge of the Supreme Court for 5 years. D, who was a Chief Justice of Supreme Court for 5 years. What is the answer? E, all of the above. You can actually, yes. What is the answer? Yes, it is only a judge. The requirement is going to be only a judge of a high court for 5 years for becoming a president of National Company Law Tribunal, right? The answer is A here. So let's quickly wind up with the next 3 questions too. Any person aggrieved by the appellate tribunal may file an appeal to the Supreme Court within how many days from the date of receipt of the order of the appellate tribunal? That is from NCLAT, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So what is the days within which a person has to go to the Supreme Court? May file an appeal. 30, 45, 60, 90. Yes. Some of you have given it correctly, guys. It is C, 60 days. So within 60 days, a person who is not satisfied with the order of NCLAT may file an appeal to the Supreme Court, right? Which of the following conditions are taken into account? So which is that chapter which deals with NCLT? Already we've discussed about that, isn't it? It is chapter 27, which deals with NCLT and NCLAT. Which of the following conditions are taken into account before a company declares dividend? So what are the criteria or the conditions that a company can look up before it is actually going for declaring a dividend? A company might provide depreciation for all its depreciable assets. B, a company might transfer some part of its reserves, some part of its profits to its reserves. C, some part of its profits to its reserves. C, a company can set off previous year's losses and depreciation. Yes, it is E, all of the above. So before declaring the dividend, a company can do all of these things, and it is permitted under the Companies Act of 2013, right? So it can set off the previous year losses and depreciation. It can provide for depreciation, and it might transfer some part of the profits to its reserves too. So whatever is available as a part of the free reserve, a company will be entitled to declare dividend from the free reserves of the company. The option here is E. Last question on the Companies Act, guys. Transfer unpaid dividend amount to the Investor Education and Provident Fund after the expiry of dash years from the date of the transfer to the unpaid dividend account. So very simple question. Yes, 7 years. So when are we going to transfer the unpaid dividend amount to the IEPF or Investor Education and Provident? Does not. Yes, it is 7 years, isn't it? So within 7 years, we have to be transferring that unpaid dividend account to IEPF. Yes, thank you so much, guys, for being part of this lecture. Hope it was beneficial to every one of you, and wish you all the best. A sincere all the best from my end. Hope all your efforts turn out into results, and may I see all of you in for phase 2 of the examination. Yes, to be more specific, it is 7 years and 37 days. Yes. So great job, guys. Thank you so much for your patience, even between the technical difficulties. You stayed here, and that shows your enthusiasm to stay with Oliveboard and learning. Thank you so much. And as I told, may God be with you in all your endeavors, and may your efforts sincerely turn into your results, right? Yes, PDF will be provided. Don't worry about it, right? Yes, thank you so much, guys. So now our other faculty, Divya ma'am, will be taking up and continuing with the other 3 sections, right? So please stay with us. So this is going to be the last class of the revision. We are done with the revision, right? Yes. Thank you so much, Vikram. Yes, the ma'am is ready. So thank you so much, ma'am. And over to you. Please continue with the other 3 sections. And all the best, guys, as I told before.
Thank you, Divya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello guys, good evening. How are you all doing? All set for the exam? Ready to go? Just a moment, please. Someone. Okay. Okay, let's start. Let's continue from the budgeting concept. Okay. Okay, so which budget shows the expenditure appropriate to various levels of output? The expenditure to appropriate to various levels of output. Please read the question carefully. Yes, so the answer is flexible budget. It's not sales budget, because sales budget will give you only an estimate of only the sales part it shows you, not the complete expenditure. It will tell you what is the expected sales and what is that you are going to earn out of it, profits and sales level, sales cost, and those things. Expenditure, complete expenditure is not seen in sales budget. Same case is with the purchase budget as well. What is flexible budget? See, you have an activity level. So by now you would have got the answer. It is flexible budget. So here I have an example of flexible budget. Okay, so what happens in flexible budget is you bifurcate the variable, the expenses as variable expenses, semi-variable expenses, and fixed expenses. Okay, please concentrate. This flexible budget is very important. I hope you will get a question from this. I think you can get a question from this flexible budget, either in the form of numericals or otherwise. Okay, so variable expense, what happens in flexible budget is, assume in this case where I have this 50% capacity, right? So that 50% capacity will be given in the question. Okay, at 50% capacity, either you will be given sorry. So either you will be given the amount or the units or the production units. So based on that, you have to see what is variable. That also will be given at times. At times you will have to bifurcate. Okay, so variable expenses will be given, semi-variable expenses will be given, and fixed expenses will be given. So what happens with variable expenses is, variable expense varies according to the activity level. Fixed expenses will remain constant. See, if you can see here, see, per unit, this has remained constant. Variable expense at at various levels of activity, it will vary. What is semi-variable expense? They would have given saying till say 70% capacity, the expenses are variable. After that, fixed. After that, it starts varying. So then you will come across the flexible budget, and then you will have to prepare according to the question, right? If they have given for 50% capacity, they would have asked you for 60 or 70% capacity, or likewise with 80 or 90% capacity as well. So that is with regard to flexible budget. Master budget is a consolidated summary of what? What's the answer? Yes, so it's all functional budgets. So what happens with master budget is, see, we have the budget classification here. Based on the scope, we have functional budget and master budget. Under functional budget, it talks about various functions. That is, each department. Functions are nothing but the departments, right? Sales, production, under production, we have production budget and production cost budget, overheads budget. So various departments in the organization are regarded as functions, right? So the combination, or what you can say, the consolidated summary of all the functional budgets is master budget. It is just like your estimated profit and loss account. Profit and loss account is your actual one. It is like your estimated profit and loss account. Flexible budget, I explained you. What is fixed budget? There we, in the example, we saw this 50% capacity, right? This one. If you're preparing only for 50% capacity, that means you are taking only 50%, only one level. So this is called as fixed budget. And we have a couple of other budgets like basic budget, current budget, research and development budget. Of course, the name itself suggests with regard to research and development. So under financial budget, you have cash budget and capital expenditure budget. What is capital expenditure budget? What is capital expenditure? Capital expenditure is nothing but the purchase of fixed assets, right? Or the long-term assets. So that is called as capital expenditure budget. And apart from that, I think there's no need to explain anything else. It is quite clear. You can have a look at it. Okay, so the next question, I feel lean manufacturing, they have covered a lot of things in the syllabus. Because they've given breakups of what covers under lean manufacturing. This is also quite important. You can expect, I suppose, at least 3 or 4 questions from this. So lean manufacturing focuses on what? Minimizing waste, maximizing productivity, maximum inventory, all the above, only A and B. So the answer is E. Okay, so what is lean manufacturing? If you take the little meaning, when you say lean, what do you mean? You usually refer to slim person, right? Lean person means slim person. But in case of lean manufacturing as such, or production as such, what is lean? Suppose I mean, if you refer from a gym point of view, what do you usually call hatta katta hoga, fit with muscles, right? So that person, what you refer over there is without fats and with good muscles. So in case of manufacturing industry, what it means is fat. What will it add? Nothing, right? So it unnecessarily, probably you will feel tired because of fat and things like that, but muscles will give you strength. So that is what it means here. Fat means non-value adding activities. What is non-value adding activities? Anything for which you are spending time on, but that is not generating any value. For example, in case of purchases, you are spending time in searching for suppliers. Okay, it takes a lot of time every time you do the same thing, so it is non-value adding activity. Say you spend 3 to 4 hours a day in search of suppliers, so this is a non-value adding activity. You are spending 3 to 4 hours. Okay, you are being paid for that as a purchase head or purchase executive or whatever it is, but there is no outcome out of it. Every day if it is the same thing, there is no point. So lean manufacturing focuses on minimizing waste and maximizing productivity. So it you should define, sorry, you should define the value. What is that your your activities are, whether it is value adding, non value adding. Analyze it, map value stream. That is, what is that that is adding value, go with that and create a flow. You make sure that, see, in this same example where I took, if you are taking purchase, this one, identify a few suppliers, talk to them regularly. Once in a you finalize your suppliers at once. Take time, finalize the suppliers and talk to them whenever you have an order, and finalize the order. Don't take time out to search suppliers every time. So creating a flow, that is sustaining it, standardizing it. And then pull system. What is pull system? In JIT as well as in lean manufacturing, of course, just JIT is a part of lean manufacturing, right? What is pull system? Usually what happens in industries is, normally the industries which do not follow lean manufacturing, okay, what happens is they will have orders, they will take time to fulfill the orders, and in the meantime they will contact their suppliers and they will say, I would need this order by this date. But what usually happens is there will be a delay for at least 1 or 2 days. What is pull system? Pull system requires the raw materials or whatever required for production. Okay, that should be on date, on time. Whatever is the time required or the date required by the company, the supplier should be able to fulfill at right at that time. So that is pull system. For that, you have to make sure that your suppliers are okay, your suppliers are good. For that, there are a lot of other things which we'll discuss later. Okay, so pull system is that one. That means you are not stocking up any kind of inventories, because that involves a cost. Again, it is like messy, because you will not be able to provide space for anything else, right? So again, when you are following pull system, you are attaining perfection. You try to attain perfection and try to standardize that. So this is about, can we say, optimum? Yes. So there are 7 types of waste. There could be a question asked on the types of waste. Okay, one is transportation waste. Okay, this is the these are the 7 types of waste identified by lean manufacturing system. The main aim of lean manufacturing is elimination of these waste. What happens when you eliminate these kind of wastes? Your productivity will improve, your cost will reduce. Okay, so transportation waste, unnecessary transportation, that is timing of transportation, or the distance of transportation, which takes a lot of time. Inventory, unnecessary stocking up of inventories. It involves your carrying cost, it involves carrying cost, and you need space, those things. So inventory stocking or piling up is avoided in JIT system or lean manufacturing system. Again, waiting time. What is waiting time? When you are processing materials, when you are into production, the process, say it has 4 stages. Process 1 would have given its output for process 2. But what is happening in process 2? It is still processing the materials that it has already got. So process 1 materials output is waiting. So what happens? There is a problem with the space, right? So unless, and if the materials are held for a lot of time, then probably the quality of material also would be a problem there. So waiting is avoided. Unnecessary motion, that is the movement of machine and men from that place to this place, getting things. So that motion should be avoided. Over processing. This is about the quality part that we are talking. So you should not over process the material. And then overproduction. Overproduction, we spoke about inventory. So this overproduction and inventory are interrelated. And then defects. When you are producing it for the first time, make sure you are producing it right. Because again, defects, if it goes to the customer, that involves cost. It is a waste of time. The customer will not believe you for the next time. And then it also involves the cost of rework. So avoid these wastes. Which among the below statements is false as regards this JIT system? Production in smaller batches, selection of maximum suppliers, reduction of setup time, reduction of inventory, none of the above. Which is false here? No. No. So production in smaller batches. Yes, JIT believes in smaller batches. They are not interested in piling up inventory. So they produce in smaller batches. Selection of maximum suppliers, definitely not. What JIT system does is, you identify, when a company is operating JIT system, it sees to it that it selects a few suppliers. Of course, before finalizing the suppliers, they would have had a lot of inquiries, but selection will be very minimum, say 3 to 4, and they will make sure that they will select such suppliers who are ready to give them on time and with quality. For that, what do? They visit the supplier's factory and make sure that they are giving the right quality. Regularly, frequently they will visit the factory. They will make sure that the quality is right, and also at the same time they'll make sure that this supply is on time. So reduction of setup time, yes, definitely, because it will be planned in such a way that the setup time is reduced. What they usually do is they make a videotape of the setting up of machinery. Then they will see and they will understand as to what is going wrong where, or where there is a time lag. So that they will address, and they will see to it that this is not done. Again, reduction of inventory, yes, because it is a pull production system. So which among the below statements is or are true as regards Kaizen? So what's the answer? Yes, small and incremental changes routinely applied and sustained. So Kaizen is nothing but small and gradual improvements in the existing situation. What happens is, you have a production line and there are workers involved in it. The key point in lean manufacturing is, first thing, they will employ such workers that they are multi-skilled, or either they will train them and they will make sure that they are able to handle small stoppages and minor breakdowns and all. And the second thing is, they will train them in such a way that they are adjusted or accustomed to this, lean manufacturing techniques, which we will go through. Okay. So gradual improvements is nothing but, usually what happens in manufacturing industries is that I mean, any kind of industry for that matter, what happens is usually they will have a morning meeting right at the time when they enter the office, or probably half an hour after that. Then they will every day, it is happening every day, and they will discuss as to what is going wrong, or any small things they will point out. So that is how Kaizen works. Every employee is being involved, right from the top management till the foreman of the factory. So they will involve everybody, they will discuss, and they will point out any issues that they are facing while operating the machines or materials, and that issue will be seen to it that it is addressed, and the increment is, I mean, the improvement is implemented. And again, the next time they make sure that that improvement is happening. Okay, based on that improvement, they will start working again. They'll come up with a meeting, they will come up with any points as such, and they will make sure that anything that is non-value adding, right, whether it is transportation, motion, quality of materials, or whatever it is, so that will be pointed out and it will be addressed. So improvement, so that is with regard to Kaizen. No limits on the levels of improvement, setting standard and then continually improving these standards. So focus is on eliminating waste, improving system, and improving productivity. So as I said, it involves all employees. So which of the below 5S functions aims at setting cleaning frequency? Answer is D. If had I given those words in English, probably would have made it right. But since it is in Japanese terms, I think there it took a toss. Okay. Anyway, make sure that you are thorough with these words. Okay. So what is 5S? It is basically organizing your workspace. Just like how we are organizing your study table, you make sure that only what is required you are keeping it there, and rest of the things you are keeping it aside, right? Because whenever you are studying, you want to make sure that you are not picking up something unnecessary, right? So 5S is basically the same thing, and it is not restricted to all these lean manufacturing techniques, are not restricted to manufacturing industries alone. It is definitely applied in case of service industries as well, and anything for that matter, be it a school, college, such small institutions also can follow these techniques, because it is always helpful. So yes, so SALT is CD, that is eliminating obstacles, set in order a sit-in, most efficient and accessible arrangements, that is on FIFO basis. Whatever you have brought in first in, first out, FIFO is, right? So whatever you have brought in first, you make sure that you are using it first, and the next one you are using the second one, whatever you have received. Shine is to CISO, set cleaning frequency and safety. Say on a daily basis, what happens is usually once the shift is done, they clean it up, and for the next shift, they'll make sure that the the workspace is looking clean. So, and they ensure safety. So standardize is whatever you have made the procedures here, standardize that, maintain high standards, orderliness, that is sorting there, everything in order and according to the standard. What is that? According to the standard, you make sure you are doing it. Sustain, that is this is with regard to process standards. Okay, so sustain is when you have developed all these steps, make sure that you are sustaining this, because again, otherwise you will have to work backwards. So training and discipline is a part of sustain. So match the following. What was your question? Sorry, I didn't notice. Mr. Harsh Rajput, can you repeat, please? What theory part are you referring to? Okay, someone has given the answer. The answer is B. Okay, we'll see what it is. I'll come back to that question. So this is with regard to OEE. operation equipment effectiveness, right? So this is a part of total productive maintenance. What is total productive maintenance? You are avoiding the breakdown of machines by regularly say lubricating it or maintaining it. So it is about regular maintenance, total productive maintenance. You are maintaining the machines in such a way that you are not experiencing any sort of breakdown in between. What happens if you have a breakdown in between? Then your production process will stop. You are incurring cost out of it. There is a delay in the customer supply that you are supposed to make. Your materials are waiting for the next production. So all these things will contribute to, again, your cost, right? Again, your cost will go up. You will not be able to make profits, blah, blah, blah. So total production maintenance is maintaining and improving the integrity and integrity of production and quality systems. So keep equipments in top working condition. So it has 8 pillars. The basis of total production maintenance is 5S. Please note this. That is the foundation of total productive maintenance. Okay, so it has 8 pillars: focus improvement, autonomous maintenance, planned maintenance, training and education, quality maintenance, early equipment management, safety, health, and environment. It is very much similar to 5S, but the the advanced version of this is that you are talking about the maintenance of machine. So overall equipment effectiveness gives you 3 losses, 3 kind of losses. So this equipment failure or breakdown and setup and adjustments will result in time loss. This is because of equipment availability. And idling and minor stoppages and reduced speed will give you speed losses, right? When you are stopping in between, if it is a breakdown, then you are wasting your time. If it is a minor stoppage, then there is a speed loss, because the speed at which whenever you are stopping it, the speed at which it has to pick up will take time. So this reduction in speed and reduced yield. Reduced yield is nothing but output, quality defects and rework. So these are quality losses. Overall equipment effectiveness will give you, it is arrived with a formula called performance into availability into quality. So you can make a note of this formula. You might be asked question on this. So it cannot be achieved at 100%. Usually above 85% is considered to be good overall. PDF link, I'm really not sure, because I think for subscribed people you can get, because we can send out the PPTs, but for the non-subscribed people I am not sure. So cellular manufacturing aims at oh, sorry, I think I have taken 2 options there. Okay, anyway, cellular manufacturing aims at to move as quickly as possible, make a wide variety of similar products. What is cellular manufacturing? See, if you see here, see, this is cell number 1. It has 1, 2, and 3 machines, correct? This is cell number 2. This has, say, 3, 4 machines. So each cell is organized. Okay, this is, say, for example, in case of printing industry, there is a process called as printing. Okay, first will be printing. And I'm taking this example because I am much familiar and I can explain you properly. So next is the lamination stage. You are laminating one sheet with the other sheet. Okay. So in case of printing, you have 3 machines. Okay. It is usually organized in U shape. Okay. So this comes out of this. This comes out here from cell 1, and this is to be passed on to cell 2. So likewise, it is arranged in such a way that each cell will have, each cell is a separate kind of process. Okay. And this is arranged these machines are arranged in such a way that it is easy for the supervisors to supervise. And also, see, it comprises one or more machines. Each station completes part of the manufacturing process. It gives you flexibility in operations, okay? And changes are easy to make. Since these machines are here, and these cells, these machines are grouped into cells. This cell can be interchanged, this to this, this to this, based on the process. So you can manufacture a lot of variety of products in case of cellular manufacturing. So you can find here that, so this is coming from cell 1 to cell 2, this is to cell 3, and finally cell 4 is giving you finished product. Okay, so 3,08,538 DPMO implies which sigma level? Yes, it is A2 sigma level. So you have a chart here, as and when, what is 6 sigma? 6 sigma is nothing but sigma is deviation from perfection, right? So when you are manufacturing something, for example, your say this pen size is 0.1 mm, okay, sorry, not 0.1 mm, say 1 centimeter, okay. This 1 centimeter, when you take it into production, this will not be exactly 1 centimeter. It is definitely not possible, though you arrange the size, you have machines and things like that. Any production system for that matter will have deviations. It is either 1.1 centimeter or 0.9 centimeter or 0.8 centimeter. That deviation is allowed. So that deviation is what you are referring to sigma here. So it is deviation from perfection. As and when you go up the level, that is 1 sigma will have maximum, that is 6,91,462 number of defects per million, okay, opportunities. And as and when you go up here to the 6th sigma level, you are your defects is reduced and you are close to perfection. So that is what it means here. So whenever you are having such deviation, it is it is allowed up to say 3% or 4% variation is allowed. Beyond that, what you are referring to, I told about 1.1 mm, 1.1 centimeter and 0.9 centimeter, right? So that is allowed. Up to 5% or 3%, depending on the industry standard as such. That is allowed. Beyond that, whatever you are getting, see this portion, what you can see, it is beyond the level, right? So as and when you go up the level of 6 sigma, you are attaining perfection. That means you are manufacturing the products as per the requirement of the customers, basically. Okay, so yes, so it is a quality improvement technique based basically with the aim of achieving 0 defects. And there are 2 methods of implementation, what I have here, DMA IC and DMA DV, that is define, measure, analyze, implement, and I think customize. Not sure. Okay, so this is improve. Yes, this is improve. Sorry, I is improve. This is for the existing ones, and this is develop. So this is for the new one. So the basic difference between business process reengineering and Kaizen is control. Yeah, sorry. The basic difference between BPR and Kaizen is, yes, Kaizen focuses on a small change, whereas BPR focuses on a drastic change. So Kaizen is every small improvement that you are getting on a day-to-day basis, and whereas BPR is drastic improvement in the existing process. For example, if you are using the paperwork in your industry, and if you are planning to switch over to computerized industry, computerized work environment. So in that case, it is a drastic change. So that is business process re-engineering. You are thinking as though you have not started your business at all. So what is the improvement area? That way will be redesigned and it will be implemented in case of BPR. So coming to economics. Which of the below is an assumption of investment multiplier theory? Yes, it is all above. So what does a multiplier theory talk about? It is about the effect of multiplication of one on the other. So investment multiplier is related to income and employment. Now, to explain that, we know what is marginal propensity to consume. Okay. So now, what is marginal propensity to consume? You have this original investment, and say if you have 2,000 rupees, out of this 2,000 rupees, you are not going to consume everything, right? Says you are spending 1,500 rupees, and 500 rupees is your savings. Okay. So that is marginal propensity to consume is that part of your income which you are consuming, that part of your incremental income which you are ready to consume or which you are consuming, which you are using for consumption. So the other part is the savings. So what happens in case of multiplier is basically it is with regard to the investment to be made by the government when there is a requirement. So if the government wants to know what is the investment that it has to make, then it has to know what is the number of times this investment will multiply. Suppose if there is a desired aggregate economic activity required, amount of activity required, the government will think, based on the concept of multiplier theory, the government will try and understand as to what is the investment that is to be made, because the entire investment is not being spent on consumption, right? So this is the concept of multiplier theory, where we have the formula of multiplier 1 by 1 minus MPC. That is, multiplier will depend on your marginal propensity to consume. What is the extent of government expenditure that is to be made depends on what is that people are ready to spend on their consumption as far as the incremental income is concerned. So that is nothing but 1 by MPS. So if your MPC is 0.8 here, your multiplier will be 5. So in the accelerator theory, the accelerator is, am I going too fast? Yes, capital output ratio, that's right. So in case of accelerator theory will talk about the private investment. See, basically when you have output, the desired output, based on the desired output, what is your capital required is about the theory of accelerator. Okay. Now, yesterday's session was little fast. Very slow. So I thought today's session could be a little fast. Anyway, so in accelerator theory, the accelerator is the capital output ratio. That is how much you are investing your capital for the desired output is what the accelerator theory talks about. So we have the formula of our accelerator theory, that is K is equal to Vy. This is the capital required. Okay, this is the capital to output ratio. What is the amount of capital required to achieve a desired output level? So Y is the national income. V is the number of units of capital required to produce 1 unit of output. Okay. So I have a small example here. See, this is period 1, that is, this is the current year, okay, T, and this is the previous year. From previous year to current year, there is an increment by 10, right? So 10 units have increased. Required capital stock is output into 3, or 3 is nothing but the accelerator, okay? For the capital stock, what is the, for the output to achieve, what is that you need? Accelerator, right? So accelerator ratio is 3. So that output multiplied by 3 will give you accelerator, the required capital stock. And then that is, we have replacement capital. Replacement capital is nothing but the depreciation part that we are talking about here. So whenever you are trying to make an investment, whether it is a fresh investment or otherwise, you will have depreciation, right? If it is a fresh investment, you don't have to, I mean, if you are investing it this year, you will definitely invest on the depreciation part. I mean, suppose if you have used your machinery to an extent, okay, wherein the depreciation has come to around 10,000. Now this month, if you are making an investment of 20,000, 10,000 would go under depreciation. So actually your investment would be only 10,000, right? So replacement capital, whenever you are making an investment, this replacement capital will be a part of your investment. So net investment is delta y, y is output, yes, delta y into 3. So gross investment is your column 4 plus column 5, that is your net investment and replacement capital, as I said. So as and when it goes on increasing, what is the expected output this year, what is the incremental change, accordingly you will work out your replacement capital and required capital stock or the gross investment, and you will make the necessary adjustments. But what happens when there is a fall in the output? When there is a fall in the output, definitely this 10,000 whatever you are you are supposed to invest on your depreciation, that you will have to invest, because depreciation, that is wear and tear of machinery, right? So if you have to maintain your machinery intact, this 10,000 is required. So that you are taking, and whenever there is a fall in the output, whenever there is an expected fall in the output, you make sure that you are not investing too much on the machinery part or your new investment, and such depreciation should be adjusted. After the depreciation, whatever, see here we have negative 30, that means that this is invested for depreciation. So this basically talks about what is the capital required for your output. So if it is reducing, you have to work out accordingly. So which is the motive for the demand for money as per classical theory? All. Are you sure? As per classical theory. Yes, it is A. What does classical theory say? People demand money only for transactionary motive. What comes under precautionary motive? Cash balance approach will talk about transactionary and precautionary motive. Who talks about all the three motives? It is Keynes, right? So classical theory talks about the equation given under classical theories, MV is equal to PT, where M is the total quantity of M dash is the total quantity of credit money, M is the total quantity of money supply, V is velocity of circulation of credit money, V dash V dash is the circulation of credit money, this V is with regard to this money supply. Now what it says is people demand money only for transactionary purposes, right? Now cash balance approach tells you transaction motive, yes, it is only a medium of exchange. Precautionary motive is a hedge against uncertainty. So cash balance approach gave you two motives. First one was quantity theory of money, that is nothing but the classical theory. Okay, and this cash balance approach gave you two motives. Next was given by Keynes, which talks about three motives. So what Keynes gave was there is transaction motive, there is precautionary motive, and there is a speculative motive. Okay, so this basically depends on the level of income, transactionary and precautionary motive. Sorry. Yeah. So this transactionary and precautionary motive basically depends on the level of income. But this speculative motive, what is speculative motive? You are trying to make money out of your money, right? By investing it. So this speculative motive of money, so this speculative motive of money is dependent on the rate of interest. So this was Keynes' theory of demand for money. So which of the below are the sources of money supply? I think we'll finish up soon today. Which of the below are the sources of money supply? Yes, answers are coming up. Someone has given E. No, no, not E. Sources of money supply. It's only commercial banks and central bank, right? How can government expenditure be a source of money supply? It is not a source. It's only through multiplier effect that you will get the money supply will increase, right? Only commercial banks and central banks will create the source of money. So commercial banks are creating money through credit money. That is by creating loans and giving loans and advances. So central banks will is the main source of money supply. They make banking policies, money and banking policies, and issue currencies. So long run Phillips curve is vertical, which implies that what's the answer? B or A? Okay, so there is no trade-off between inflation rate and unemployment in the short run. Sorry, that is long run. Sorry, that option is B, not A. I've marked it wrongly. I'm sorry. It is B. So option is B. In the long run, there is no trade-off between inflation rate and unemployment rate. What does Phillips curve talk about? See, Phillips has, he had made a study and he had given a theory saying that rate of inflation and unemployment level are inversely related. As and when there is an increase in the rate of inflation, your unemployment is supposed to come down. Why does this happen? Because you will have, more money in your hands and you are given the purchasing power. Now he has given this diagram here. So this is high inflation is associated with low unemployment is what he contended. Now, if you take this, if you can see this at 0%, 4% is this is the inflation rate. When there is no inflation, this is unemployment level is at 4%. It could be at any percent. So, okay, so this 4% is the rate of unemployment existing in the economy when the inflation rate is at 0%. So when you bring up the inflation to 3% here, your unemployment has come down to 3%. So this was what was contended by Phillips. So as such, rate of inflation and unemployment level are inversely related. This was what was given. But what happens is, see here in this diagram, this is the rate of inflation, which is at 0%, and this is the natural rate of unemployment. What is natural rate of unemployment? The numericals are not given though, but there exists certain level of unemployment in the economy. Okay, so this could be at 2%, 5%, depending on the the type of economy. I mean, whether it is a developed economy, developing economy, it could have developing economy could have a higher rate of natural unemployment. Developed economy could have a lesser rate of it. So this natural rate of unemployment will exist in an economy. Okay, so whenever if see this is at 0%, this is the natural rate of unemployment. Whenever you are trying to pull up the inflation by pulling down this unemployment level, what happens is, yes, definitely the rate of unemployment level will come down when there is a higher rate of inflation. But what happens? It exists only till a certain point of time. And when people realize that there is going to be inflation, they demand for a higher money, which pushes up this inflation level. What we have here, short run Phillips curve and 1 and 2. Okay, so this pushes up the inflation. And when they know that the inflation is going to be much higher, it is again when the inflation is there, it will push up here. Again, it will push to point E. Okay, so this is how in the long run what happens. There will be inflation rate, higher inflation rate, and higher rate of natural unemployment. So that is what it means, saying that there is no connection between inflation rate and the unemployment rate. That this theory contended by Phillips will not work in the long run, because ultimately the the economy will come to the natural rate of unemployment. So trade cycles are important to business firms because what's the answer? I think it's quite easy to answer. Yes, all the above. So what are trade cycles? Trade cycles are the, economic fluctuations happening in the economy. Right, you will experience trough phase where you find that nothing is working, people are losing jobs, there's no productivity, all economic activities have come to a halt. Right, then it picks up with the expansion phase where the activities start picking up, business start picking up, expenditure level starts picking up, and we reach a condition called as peak, right, where the what do you call as boom, where your activity levels, business levels, economy level is at on top, right? So again, when such situation is existing, it cannot sustain for a long time. Again, it drops by banks stop lending credit, and then it slowly starts with the contraction phase. Again, this is happening in the economy. There is no definite time period for each of the stage or the business cycle as such, but an economy will experience these kind of business cycle phases. So different phases of cycle require how is it related to business firm is each of these stage has a different characteristic, right? So when you are into business, you have to make sure that your actions or your strategies of the business are matching to the economic environment. Suppose if you are bringing up a new industry or bringing up a new product in the phase of contraction where everything is going down, then you will definitely lose. Accordingly, to decide on the decide entry on the market, and in case of labor's input use, so according to fluctuating levels of economic activity, labor may not be available, maybe available more than the demand of the labor. So for a product or a new launch of the product, and to anticipate the market. So business cycles are very, very important for business firms to make decisions. RBI acts as a lender of last resort through which of the below instruments of monetary policy? Okay. So marginal standing facility. So liquidity adjustment facility is where they can rediscount the bills that they have got, bills of exchange with RBI for adjusting their liquidity position. Market stabilization scheme and open market operations are very much similar, wherein RBI pitches in for buying and selling of securities, government securities. What is statutory liquidity ratio? Statutory liquidity ratio is that portion of the demand deposits that they have, and term deposits, I think. Demand deposits that they have, which they are supposed to maintain with themselves. That is, it is not allowed for giving away loans or advances. So it is statutory liquidity ratio. One more is the cash reserve ratio, which the banks, a certain portion of the deposits that they have, they are supposed to keep it with the Reserve Bank of India. So marginal standing facility is over and above the liquidity adjustment facility, because RBI is an apex bank, right? So RBI, in case of any liquidity difficulty experienced by the commercial banks can approach RBI for this marginal standing facility, which is over and above the liquidity adjustment facility. That means, suppose if cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio is at say 2.5% and 5% respectively, you can go ahead and reduce that percentage, because that amount will be, say, it can be reduced up to 1.5% and 4%, where 1% is available for your cash utilization as a commercial bank. So this is over and above the liquidity adjustment facility. Of course, there is a huge penalty, I think. Yeah, it can be extended up to 1 crore, right? Minimum is 1 crore. So the next question is SEBI IT exam. Not sure. Yeah, 18% is SLR. I'm not sure of that. Okay. The instrument of fiscal policy is or are what's the answer? A and C. Why budget is not, I mean, public debt is not a part of fiscal policy? Actually, all are a part of fiscal policy through these taxes. Whenever there is a problem in the economy with regard to, what happens with taxes, through taxes, the government can control the disposable income, correct? So suppose if you are earning 50,000 and if you are supposed to pay 10,000 rupees tax, which is not the case. Suppose if you are supposed to pay 50,000, I mean 10,000 as taxes, you are left over with 40,000. So that is called as disposable income, correct? So in case of expansionary policy, in case the government wants to expand money supply in the economy, they will reduce the taxes so that the disposable income will be greater in the hands of people, and they will use it for the purchases. So this way the aggregate demand picks up in the economy. So whenever there is an expansionary and contractionary policy, I mean situation in the economy, for which RBI and government will use these kind of, I mean, RBI, this is with regard to taxes, right? So this is with regard to fiscal policy. And public debt, this is nothing but the government, whenever there is an excess money in the economy, the government will borrow through securities, by selling securities, so that they will borrow, and not selling securities, it is actually bonds, right? So public debt and budget is one more thing. So all of the above are a part of fiscal policy. Okay, what are the objectives of exim policy? What are the objectives of exim policy? All the above. So object is, what is EXIM policy? EXIM policy is related to the export-import policy. What basically happens with export-import policy? Any country for that matter will try to promote exports, right? And to the extent possible, will try curbing imports. So export-import policy is basically with regard to the exports and imports of India. So to facilitate sustained growth in exports from India, as and when your exports pick up, your balance of payments will be favorable, right? So sustained growth in the exports and generating new employment opportunities. With this, people are encouraged to set up industries and for this purpose of exporting, which generates new employment opportunities. And to enhance the technological strength of agriculture. So basically it is with regard to promotion of any activities, export activities in India. So canalization is an important feature of EXIM policy, where goods can be imported only by certain designated agencies. For example, gold can be imported only to a specific quantity by SBI and foreign banks or designated agencies as such. So export-oriented units and special economic zones are a part of this to encourage exports. Okay, so what is the measure to overcome the liquidity trap? Guys, please don't give answer saying all the above blindly. Please think for a while and then answer, because just to confuse you only, they would have given all the above, none of the above. Don't just go with the answer. It could be wrong also. So measure to overcome liquidity trap is the increase in interest rate. Okay. So what is liquidity trap? See, you have money supply here. Okay. MS is the money supply that is currently in the economy. Okay. And R1, rate of interest, is at this particular level. Now, when the money supply goes to M3, your rate of interest comes down. That is, you are expanding the money supply, your rate of interest is coming down. Further, when you expand your monetary policy, it will reach to a level where the interest level is very, very low. Even if you would like to pull up this money supply, interest rate will not have a effect. I mean, it will not have a great effect. So this liquidity trap should be avoided because it is highly difficult to manage. It goes on reducing. Okay, people will start investing in the banks because they would feel at this low interest rate it is better to keep cash in hand than investing in bank. I would have used it for my purchases. So that way it will not be spent also. So liquidity trap is such a situation which should not be encouraged. So now coming to commerce and accountancy. Capital gearing ratio shows the proportion of what is the answer? Capital gearing ratio. Fixed interest bearing capital. I'm not mentioning saying fixed interest bearing debt. Fixed interest bearing capital, which is also, yeah, probably it is confusing. So capital gearing ratio, this is calculated in addition to the debt equity ratio to find out what kind of, what is the debt financed out of this? What is the ratio between debt to equity? So this capital gearing ratio is used to show the proportion of fixed interest, that is dividend bearing capital, to funds belonging to equity shareholders. What are the funds belonging to equity shareholders? Equity share capital, reserves and surplus minus whatever is the losses. Of course, this is adjusted under reserves and surplus, right? And then we have preference share capital plus debentures, fixed interest bearing capital to net worth. So what is the journal entry for equity share allotment money being received? Okay. So the answer is bank account debit to equity share allotment account, which is credited. So what happens in case of this journal entry? What are you receiving? You are receiving money, right? So money is coming in. That is, cash is coming in. So as per the real account rule, we are debiting the bank account and equity share allotment account is credited. When shares are issued at a premium, which share premium account, how is it treated? Okay. Share premium is debited, is it? Okay. So share premium account is credited because you are, this share premium account is a separate one which you will show under reserves and surplus, correct? So share premium means what? You are, suppose the value of, face value of the share is 10 rupees and you are issuing it for 12 rupees. Now the question arises, why would you issue it for 12 rupees? The company would have such value that it is issuing at a premium. Okay, so it would have been established in a company which is performing very well, so that people are ready to buy even if they are offering shares at a premium. So share premium account, share premium is the excess of face value that you are collecting from the subscribers. So if you are issuing the shares at rupees 12 worth rupees 10, 2 rupees is the premium. On the contrary, if you look into, if you are issuing shares at rupees 8 instead of rupees, where the face value is 10, it is discount, which is not usually allowed. Okay. So bonus shares should not be issued out of. Okay, I'm sorry, we'll give you time. Okay, I'll hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm finding the answer. 3 is it? Bonus shares should not be issued out of. Okay, I think I've got a couple of answers. Okay, I'll go ahead. Okay. So bonus shares can be issued out of these three. It cannot be issued out of revaluation reserve, because this reserve is created out of your revaluation of assets, which is not the actual one actually. So free reserves is that reserve which you are accumulating as a part of your profits that you have earned year by year. Securities premium account also can be used to issue bonus shares. Then capital redemption reserve also can be used to issue bonus shares, but not revaluation reserve. So what is bonus shares issue? You are issuing shares to the existing shareholders free of cost in proportion to their existing holding. Say you are issuing you are issuing 1 share for every 4 shares held, 1 share for every 3 shares held, 1 share for every 5 shares held. So that way you are giving it away, issuing it to the existing shareholders in the proportion of their existing shareholding. So these are the accounts you can use. You cannot use revaluation reserve account. Profit and loss account, can you use or not? Earlier question, what's the difference between equity account and equity allotment account? There's nothing called as equity account. It is either equity share capital or equity allotment or equity application. It cannot be just equity account. I think you've not read it properly. Yes. So, okay. So this free reserves, bonus share should not be out of your revaluation reserve. It can be out of your free reserves. Okay. So this is called as capitalization of profit. What is the condition that you can issue bonus shares? It should be authorized by its articles of association and in the general meeting of the company if the board of directors insist on. And it should not have defaulted payment in respect of interest or principal or any statutory dues like a provident fund or whatever it is. So that should not be defaulted. That means they should have paid it regularly, and there should not be any partly paid up shares. If there are any partly paid up shares, what is partly paid up shares? Suppose if face value of the share or the issue price of the share is 10 rupees and only 8 rupees have been collected for those shares. So this 8 rupees has to be converted to 10 rupees first, and then only then they can issue bonus shares. So right issue is not applicable for right. So the answer is, okay, yes, this is a part of your commerce and accountancy as well, bonus and rights issue. There you will study about the provisions. Here, again, it is provisions and the entries part. Yes, so convertible and non-convertible debentures cannot be having right issue. Okay, you have one more question. Right of renunciation means? Okay. So right of renunciation means it is the right of the, I'm sorry, there is no question here. I have missed the question. There are two question numbers 5. So don't worry. This is just the answer part. Okay. Assume this is also a question. So right of renunciation means what? Yes, you can transfer such rights, right? When there is a right issue, you can either subscribe for those shares, or you can pass it on, you can sell it to others. So that is called as right of renunciation. ESOPs cannot be issued to, yes, can give the right to someone. ESOPs cannot be issued to an independent director or director who holds more than 10% of the company's share, a consultant, all the above, permanent employees. Yes, so all the above is the correct answer. So ESOPs are employee stock option plans which are given to directors, officers, or permanent employees of a company or its subsidiary in India or outside India. So it's basically the company. Okay. So giving ESOPs is not allowed to these 3 people: an independent director, a director who holds more than 10% of company share, and a consultant, because a consultant is not a permanent employee, right? So independent director, if he is having more than 10%, a director who is having 10% of share, again, if he is issued the ESOP, his share will increase. So he will have a say. So that is not allowed. Again, independent director, it's not allowed. So what are the conditions of buyback? Okay, fine. So section 68 subsection 2 gives the conditions of buyback. So it should be authorized by its articles of association. A special resolution has to be passed in the general meeting authorizing the buyback. So all the shares for buyback should be fully paid up. Buyback shares cannot be partly paid up. Buyback of others listed in the stock exchange is in accordance with the, if it is a listed company, it should be as per the provisions of the Securities Exchange Board of India in this behalf. And any other recognized stock exchange also, it should be as per the Securities Board of India, Securities Exchange Board of India. The ratio of the debt owned by the company after such buyback should not be more than twice of its total paid up capital and free reserves. So these are the conditions of for a buyback. Yes, it should be 2:1. Someone is enjoying the session. Okay, so a liability that may occur depending on the outcome of an uncertain future event is technically termed in accountancy as what? Yes, debt to equity ratio should not be more than 2:1. Okay. See. Anybody else with any other answer? All are enjoying. Okay, great. Yes, so it is contingent liability, a liability which may occur depending on the outcome of an uncertain future event is technically termed as contingent liability. That is, you are not sure if that event will happen or not. Best example is the lawsuit. There is a lawsuit being filed against your company. Okay, so that is ongoing, and you don't know whether you will win or lose the case. So if you are supposed to lose the case, then you are supposed to pay whatever is the compensation amount that is required to be paid. So in that case, it is called as a contingent liability. It could also happen with, I think workers' compensation fund, something like that, where people are involved in factory, especially workmen and foremen. They'll come across injuries and all those things. In those cases, compensation will have to be paid. Of course, that is separate, but the fund called as that will be maintained. So the balance of profits appear in the balance sheet under the subheading. PDF, as I said, I'm not sure if you are a subscribed student. I think I can send it right away so that once I finish the session, I can send it. Probably they can share it across to you. I cannot directly share it. Okay, if you are not a subscribed student, I'm not sure, guys. Want more sessions for accountancy? You have exams tomorrow, right? Sure, we'll plan for accountancy sessions in the second phase. Okay. Okay. Ayush, you are pinging so many times because you want me to read or you didn't notice me answering. 17th, is it? Okay. Exam is on 17th. Fine. Okay. Okay, we'll see. We'll try and figure out if we can have more accountancy sessions. Okay. Okay, where are we? The balance of profits appear in the balance sheet under the subheading. Okay, I think a couple of people have answered. People have answered C, B. Guys, balance of profits will appear under fixed assets, is it? Yes, it is B. It appears under reserves and surplus. Whatever is the profit that you are getting, you are earning every year, that will be transferred under reserves and surplus. Of course, it goes to the shareholders at the end. But the heading is separate. Those accumulated profits, what we call, will be recorded under reserves and surplus. Okay, so the last question we are coming to. Preliminary expenses are shown in the balance sheet under the heading. Okay. B. Okay, couple of people have answered saying it's B. E. Okay. Someone is enjoying a lot on this session. Okay. So preliminary expenses is miscellaneous expense. It comes under the heading miscellaneous expense. Yes, A is the right answer. It cannot be current liability. It is not a liability as such. What is, I'm sorry, what is preliminary expense? Those expenses which the company has incurred even before starting its business, like promotional expenses and articles of association, the expenses incurred on articles of association, memorandum of association. Those expenses will come under miscellaneous expenses. Current liability and provisions are those things like your provision for taxation and your sundry creditors, that which can be paid off within a year is a current liability. Preliminary expenses are already incurred. What you are supposed to do, that you are supposed to write off those preliminary expenses every year, right? To make sure that at once, why are you not taking up preliminary expenses against your profit? Because those expenses will be very huge and you cannot accommodate in one single year, because you would have by now started earning profits, and if you set off entire preliminary expenses in 1 year, you would have probably show losses. So a certain portion of preliminary expenses, it should be amortized every year. Okay, so that comes under miscellaneous expenses. Yes, you are writing off the preliminary expenses. So this is a pro forma of T form of balance sheet. Actually, companies are required to have their profit and loss statements and a balance sheet as per Schedule 3, which is a vertical form of balance sheet. I forgot to add here. So that should be followed. They have given subheadings and headings, and they have mentioned clearly as to what is to be included under which heading. So that is to be followed. Schedule 3, yes. Okay, I really hope that session was useful for you all, at least if not to a great extent, at least to some extent. So stay tuned with Oliveboard. Enjoy your weekend at 7:41. We are closing it early. So all the best for your exams, guys. See you. Any other doubts? I can still be online for another 5 minutes. Yes, we amortize this expense. Preliminary expenses amortized. You can't leave it in the balance sheet like that. I think, as far as I remember, it should be like 1/5 of that expense is amortized each year. So you are amortizing the amount in total. For the total of 5 years. It's like the breakup is like 1/5. Tips before exam. Okay, we'll take up mock test. Ideally, we should amortize this rather than writing off as one time. Yes, preliminary expenses. Actually, this writing off and amortization is used simultaneously, but actually amortization is correct. Preliminary expenses are amortized. Okay, sometimes got confused. Ma'am, please take mock test according to new provision. What is it? Anshu Tanwar. Please take mock test. Okay, we will plan accordingly. Someone has asked a question I was not able to figure out. Anshu, kindly answer, ma'am. What is it? Sometimes got confused. How to revise accounting standards? What you can do for accounting standards is you can make columns, okay, and you can take out the what you call as key points, okay, make key points, take in the column way. You make one first column as A as accounting standards, Second column as applicability, non-applicability, any other remarks. So when you make such columns, no, then you will understand what is the exact difference. That will be easy for you to remember as well. And when you write it down, it is the best way to remember. So make a chart of accounting standards if you have time. PPTs of accounting standards. As I said, if you are a subscribed student of Oliveboard, we can always help you with the PPT. But if you are not a subscribed student of Oliveboard, I'm really sorry about that. I'm not supposed to share. Okay. Either on Telegram. Okay. So that is about accounting standards. And someone asked about for the tips, right? So this, I would say, this is the time for you to revise. So now if you start studying, it is little difficult to, cope up with the, syllabus, because your syllabus is such a huge one, right? So I'm pretty sure that you already would have started if you are actually seriously attempting the exams. So just revise, and I would always say, I've always been saying, write it down and make a gist of whatever you have understood. Okay, I usually kept telling this for formulae. Make a list of it while you are going to bed or early in the morning, or both the times. That way you just revise it once, just flip it once. Trust me, you will remember it to a greater extent. At least you have to do this for 15 days. Since you have only 7 days time now, this is still not a late time to start with. If you are planning to have anything in mind where you feel that you are lagging, take it out right away, and make notes out of it. I would say make charts out of it, not even notes. Charts are the best way to remember, I tell you, trust me. So go with the charts. Don't go with searching on Google. Okay, that will not help you anyway, because when you start doing charts, you will use your brain. So that is how you will remember. So go with the charts, make charts, and that is how you will remember. I hope someone has asked. Haritima Mishra, comment section on YouTube. What was your question? Please share PDF of previous revision session. Either on. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to share like that. If you are a subscribed student, I can definitely do it for you. That comes through the Oliveboard channel. Okay, we will stop the session. Thank you.